Hey, what's up everyone? Let's talk about Sony's conference.
Gamestork, delivering news, reviews, and playthroughs like a newborn baby.
Well, Sony came out in style this year, again opening the show with some awesome music, which was like an Indian style musical intro that was really cool. Had a lot of designs going on behind them, which led into the Uncharted The Lost Legacy preview. This was a very fast-paced show. It was very good, very game-centric, and it was extremely impressive with a few surprises built in, and we're going to go through those. Mostly, not every single game, but I'm going to talk about most games. I may miss one or two that it just didn't stand out or I didn't jot. So the first, obviously, is the Uncharted The Lost Legacy, which was at the very beginning. This, you know, I didn't expect them to spend a lot of time with this, and they didn't, because there's a lot of information out there. However, they do want to mention it because they want us to buy it. I look forward to it. I can't wait to see how it is different from the other Uncharted games in the series. I bet it will be great. Right now, it seems like one I really have my doubts about, but I'm sure once I play it, hopefully we'll see that, you know, I'm completely wrong in saying that it may or may not be super awesome. So then they went on to show Days Gone, which looks really cool. It looks really solid. I can't wait to see more of this game. Right after, there was this game, the preview started to come on, and I was like, wow, this is a really cool open world game that almost looks like Horizon Dawn. And this guy's looking at dinosaurs, and he's running around doing this or that. And then I put it together in my head after, you know, just a few seconds. That, you know, I reported on that trademark being filed the other day for Monster Hunter World, and I was like, boom, this has to be Monster Hunter World for sure. Like, this is it. And then while I was watching, I was like, this can't be Monster Hunter. I've never seen one where you can do this or do what they're showing. I've never seen one where you can just jump and do that. And sure enough, it was Monster Hunter World. And let me tell you, this game looks so epic. Oh man, I'm super excited about Double Cross coming to the Switch. But it seems like I'm going to be purchasing 2 Monster Hunters here very soon. And the great thing is it looks like it's going to be a slightly different experience from Monster Hunter Double Cross. So Double Cross offers one thing, while this Monster Hunter offers something else entirely. And that's really exciting to me, which means you could play both and essentially you know, experience different gameplay types and enjoy both of them at the same time. Now, right after that, I saw a game and I said, oh man, I saw the character standing there, and I was like, no, this isn't Shadow of the Colossus. Oh my goodness, like, you talk about, for any of you who have played the original Shadow of the Colossus, and those of you who have played it when it was new, and played it, you know, when it first came out, it's just one of those games. It's essentially a game full of boss battles, and it's amazing. It blew away everyone. It has a massive cult following. It is absolutely wonderful, and from the look of what they showed here of this new Shadow of Colossus game, it looks like they really have done that justice. It looks like they poured a lot of love aesthetically and also in how they fight, and how, because a lot of it looks very similar. So this is really exciting to see this Shadow of Colossus. Oh man, it just looks really good. If you've never played the original, please go play the original. Do whatever you have to do to play it. It's really good. It's a very solid game. Then we saw our favorite Marvel and Capcom characters all really kind of part of this amazing looking story. Like, this game looks so great that it really made me wish it was like this huge open world where you could just play as all of these guys and play together, and I think that would work. The story, this is from Marvel vs. Capcom, the new one, which comes out on September the 19th. It looks really good, and on top of that, they announced a demo that you can actually download as you are listening to this. You could get onto your PlayStation on the PlayStation Store and download this thing right now. So go do it. I know I am. Mine's already, I haven't actually pulled it up, but it will be started very shortly after I record this. This game looks awesome. It looks really good. The story in this looks so good. I'm a huge Marvel man. Man, you talk about just love. My mouth was just open, and I was like, oh my goodness, like, this looks so great, you know, so excited. They went on to show Skyrim VR. Now, I know what people are saying. I saw, like, on the live chat, I actually watched this through the IGN live stream, and there were people hating on how it looked, like the visuals. But let me tell you, in case, you know, if you own a VR, you understand, and you're not going to be one of the people saying that. Games that they show outside of VR that are made for VR do not look as good as they do inside of the headset. You cannot communicate what you see in that headset outside of the headset. So it's one of those things to where unless you put it on yourself and unless you look inside of this headset and get yourself immersed in the world and see what it really looks like inside of the device, then you don't understand. You're going to think it looks terrible. And that's one thing about marketing, you know, and I think Sony's done a good job with these, the games. I think it was, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that they talked about or showed in this presentation that were all VR. But it's difficult because if you honestly look at these, you know, these game previews and then you see like this other 4K preview that's right beside it, it's not going to look as good. But once you put on that headset, I promise it looks great. This is a very good thing that Skyrim is in VR. Now, out of VR and the Switch, I'm going to choose the Switch. No, I know PlayStation fans are probably going crazy. I might wind up getting both of them because it's a great game and I just want to see what it looks like in the VR. But I'll probably wind up, honestly, game flying the VR version and then, you know, purchasing the Nintendo Switch version. But well, unless it's an update, because I already have Skyrim on the PS4, so if they allow some type of update to be able to put on there and play, that would be great. Which we don't know yet. That could be what it is. Then we saw some of the new Call of Duty, World at War II, which looks really good. What can you say? It looks like a Call of Duty game. It's kind of old-fashioned, really solid, great shooter. After the the Call of Duty World at War II trailer, they dug right into some VR titles. The first was Star Child VR, which is interesting to me because it's like a side scroller, right? That's in VR, and it makes you wonder how that looks like. I can't wait to put on my VR and play that game because it does look great. It looks like it's really interesting and cool, which is why it made the conference. But at the same time, like a side scroller inside of a VR game, it just seems interesting. I'm ready to see what that's all about. The Impatient is another game they talked about on VR, which is essentially a game apparently where you're in the nut house and people, just a bunch of junk going on that's scary. And yeah, if you like scary games and being freaked out, I'm not that good at being scary, so I don't play a lot of horror games because I can't take it, you know. I just can't do it. And especially in VR. If you guys have never played a horror game in VR, like Resident Evil 7 inside of VR I just couldn't do it. Like it's one of those things. It's very difficult because you can't place your hands in front of your face when you get afraid like you'd like to. So when you pull your hands up in real life, you can't block what you're seeing, right? And it's really, really crazy. Now this next one is really interesting to me, and I'm going to talk about this for just a minute because it's almost unexpected, I guess. And I really expected something a little bit different, but they announced Final Fantasy 15 Monster of the Deep. Now, this is obviously a fishing game. That's what they did the entire time. They were camping and fishing, right? But you know, that sounds kind of lame, but when you look at the game and what they were doing, it actually looked pretty fun. And so, me trying to have an open mind about this, number one, I'm like, okay, this is VR. And using the Move controllers, that's automatically going to give me, you know, a fun gameplay experience, honestly. It's going to be neat to be able to do that. Secondly, I think back about this game, maybe you've heard of, called the Ocarina of Time. And I remember spending hours upon hours upon hours fishing. I really did. I'm sure a lot of people did because we all wanted to catch that big one and, you know, get the prizes and the heart pieces and stuff like that. But I was just addicted to fishing in that game. And thinking back about that, I'm like, okay, so VR fishing inside of the Final Fantasy world, that sounds great. You know, I live in a place where I do go fishing. But inside of VR it might be a little bit different, right? Why go in real life when you can go inside of Final Fantasy 15? Yes? That sounds like a couch potato they were talking. Okay. Next was Bravo Team. You know, this is also a VR game, and this, oh man, I got so excited because I'm like, finally, we're starting to see some real games. And not only that, but the new peripheral that they sold, the new controller, that's the gun that they just released with Farpoint, will be in use for this game, and I'm really excited about that. The idea of a first-person shooter where you're actually running around and you're actually moving and you're actually using that controller is really exciting. And just for Sony to get outside of the average, like, The VR games right now, there's like 3 types, and every game that's created is in the confounds of all 3 of those types. Farpoint kind of pushed it. It is linear in what it does, but it works in VR because you can't just turn around, rapidly and stuff like that. So inside of VR, that game works, and I'm sure Bravo Team is the same way. It looked like it's a lot of fun. Then they showed Moss VR, and this game, pretty much your little mouse that has like a pimp gauntlet that you're just looking to wreak some havoc. And I guess the VR headset is a forest spirit that is helping. If I'm getting this right, it's a forest spirit that's helping this mouse, and it looks really neat. It's very interesting. It looks really colorful. It has a somewhat of a darkness about it. I don't know why. Like, it didn't necessarily show anything, but the depths of the color and the way the art is, the way it was presented, the stages, the levels. It seems like it really has a depth to it that really interests me. And this is probably going to be a VR game that I pick up just to see, because I am very interested, and it's one that I am going to think about for a while. Then they jump right into God of War, which we'll see early 2018. Sorry for all you guys who wanted it this year, but it looks like it is coming early 2018. And this God of War, I will say, I've played all of them, and to be honest, I would be lying if I said I've just loved every one of them. I really like them as games, but I've always felt like they were missing something. Like, they were missing just that it factor for me. And they were good. They were good enough to play every one of them. But they were just missing that one little thing. And it seems like whatever it is that's been injected into this new God of War, which it could be the emotion, it could be the fact that, Kratos is having to deal with, this human thing, right? That he has a child, and he's a father, and now he doesn't want that to bleed over onto his child, and there's a struggle, and he's trying to, just all these emotions and all this stuff. It seems like it's communicated very well in this trailer. Also, not to mention, improved graphics, yes, different style of gameplay, absolutely. This seems very immersive and very sweet. Like, oh man, it looks really, really good. And this is like Horizon Zero Dawn level graphics. It looks very similar, actually, and I was impressed by it. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. That's actually a good thing. I've noticed that a lot of Sony's first parties all look very similar, that they all have that kind of Horizon Zero Dawn thing. That's not bad right now. My only problem is I worry people might get washed out on that style of gameplay before too many years pass of it. Now, next was Detroit Become Human. That, this is a game that I just, I've followed this developer for a long time, and I really enjoy every single game that they do. And this really surprised me, because all the teasers that we've seen in years past, I thought this game was something else. And then when I saw this today, I was like, oh man, this is something completely different than what I thought it was going to be. But it looked really good. The story seems great, leading this, essentially building an army of androids and leading them against the humans, and, fighting for freedom and having freedom of choice and all this stuff. It all sounds great. But there was one thing in the preview here, which it's obviously probably not the final game, but I don't know. This bothered me. Okay, and it's a small complaint, but a complaint nonetheless. This game, as good as it looked, all the character models lacked facial expression. Every single one of them. Their faces were locked, and their mouths moved, and the emotion coming out like, we got you, or this, or let's do it, or I'm angry, or just anything that it was. Their eyes were locked, their eyebrows were locked. Like, there was no facial expression whatsoever, and that really bothered me. And I was like, that's unlike this developer to do this. He usually nails that. So I'm unsure really about that. This is a game, don't get me wrong, I'm 100% going to play this, and I'm probably, gonna love it, because it looks really good. But that's just one of those things that surprised me to see so few facial expressions. And it really made me think about the fact that facial expressions as a whole are very important. Like, emotion in a game is important, reactions in a game is very important, and those things are so important that I believe that overall, graphics and sweat on skin and things like that take a back seat to the expressions. Like, as good as it looks, if you leave out all the expressions and the emotion and the human side of it, to where people can't relate to the character that they're playing or talking to or something like that, and they really do seem like that, it's a problem. And I know what you're thinking. Some of you guys are going to say in the comments, well, they're clones. They don't have emotions. Yes, they do. They obviously had emotions in this. They were struggling with anger and confusion and things like that. And just to nail this in so that you know, even the news anchor on the TV during the presentation who was talking, his face didn't move at all. He was a human. All the humans in there didn't do it either. So it's all the character models for this game. They'll probably get away with it because it is clone, or you know, these androids. I mean, not clones. But you know, it's one of those that I don't mean to hate on it. I want to give it all the love in the world. That's just something that stood out to me. Really, as I watched that trailer, was distracting. I just couldn't help but to just latch onto that, and I was like, man, you know, just get over it. This game looks great. But hopefully, you know, hopefully that's something that they really work out, and in the future we see, you know, by the time it releases, we see that fixed. Destiny 2, September 6th. Destiny 2, it's coming. It's real, and it's right around the corner. Now, PS4, as we know, man, they have the advantage. Sony has the advantage with third-party developers. So when it comes to third parties and, you know, their clout, they always get the first access. They get the first stuff, and it's no different here with Destiny 2. They have the exclusive strike, which I believe they said was Lake of Shadows, exclusive PvP map, weapons, armor, things like that. So the full gambit of early access content belongs to Sony and this right. So if you want the stuff first and you want to play with that stuff first, you want to play those maps, Sony's the place to get them. So to close this out, they put out a trailer for a game that really, honestly, I think about all the time, that I've dreamed of since I was a child. And let me say, as I did earlier, I'm a huge Marvel fan, and even more than a Marvel fan, am I a fan of Spider-Man. And growing up, it's really weird. I have a group of friends who are all DC fans, right? So I'm the Marvel guy to the DC, and look, I love DC. It's something about Marvel that connects with me, and that's who I am. Spider-Man is my absolute favorite superhero, and in the comics, he's the greatest ever. Not necessarily in all the movies, but yes, back in the comics, and even the '90s cartoon, he was really good. But anyway, this game, oh wow, like, man, I just don't even know where to get started, because this game opens up and it looks really cool. And you see something that resembles Batman, right? So we're looking at like Batman Arkham Knight, and I don't know. And I'm like, did Insomniac like copy Batman? Are they really going for that? And then it kind of doesn't do that anymore and it goes into all these other things that they're doing. Like, there's so many just different things that done in this preview. It's really hard to put them into words. From wall running, not touching the ground, you know, we saw a lot of instances of how smooth the movement's going to be. The world, they did leave the question as to how big of a sandbox is this really, or is it fully on rails, or what's the deal? I believe that yes, absolutely it is a sandbox. I don't doubt that, but this probably was just like a story mission or something like that was specifically focused. Now, me being a Marvel fan and being someone who's been in the comics and stuff like that, there were a ton of people in this preview. I have no idea who they are, and that excites me. That really excites me because that's new. Another thing that excites me is Spider-Man going head-to-head with the Kingpin, okay? Because this is something that the movies don't do. Nobody does. I don't know why they don't do it, but this is like the perfect thing to do, the perfect villain, and it's really good. Now, the thing that really blew my mind, that people probably stopped watching this conference and was just like, yeah, whatever, is the fact that they closed out the preview after PlayStation did their thing. They went back into a little bit more, and it revealed inside of this game Miles Morales, which leaves all kinds of questions for all of us who know who that is. So I'm like, is it more of a Spider-Man, or instead of a Spider-Man, or what's going on? Like, it's extremely confusing. And I don't know. You know, I don't have questions. I mean, I don't have answers for those questions right now. So obviously I can't share them. But that right there, just that one little reveal at the end, although to most people they're like, Miles, what's the big deal? Get up and walk out of the conference, because they have no idea that is huge. That's like a big thing that we have no answer for. That's going to drive me crazy until I get this game or get the answer. Now, this is coming in 2018 as well, so I was hoping that either this game or God of War would come this fall, like something big like that. That's just unbelievable, but it isn't. And let me say that this Spider-Man game, if you did not watch, if you're just listening to this, my breakdown of this, and you haven't watched the conference, This Spider-Man game, Insomniac did it up. It looks unbelievable. That's what I'm gonna say. Like, it's the Spider-Man game that we've been waiting on our entire lives, and every time one comes out, we're like, it's okay, but it's not what we're looking for. It's okay, but it's not really what we want. Insomniac is a perfect developer for this, and this preview showed it. I'm happy it's coming next year. I just hate that it's not coming this year, obviously. Well, anyway, that's going to wrap it up here for my breakdown discussion about Sony's E3 conference. At this point, you know, Ubisoft's conference was awesome, and so was Sony's. It's hard to say who won. I think that Ubisoft, man, they just rocked the boat. It's going to be hard to beat that, but since they're not a console, as far as the console conferences, definitely Sony right now is ahead. I think that they just outdid Xbox with their exclusives and what content they have available. So anyway, that wraps it up. Be sure to like and subscribe, guys, if you haven't already. I certainly appreciate you. Thank you so much for watching. And for all things E3, all things Nintendo Switch, all things gaming, stay right here with Gamestork. We'll see you next time. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you would like to help to improve the quality of content on this channel and also help to make content come out faster, please go to this link at gofundme.com/Gamestork to help me replace the equipment needed in order to make this channel better. Again, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you, and if nothing else, just be sure to watch, like, and subscribe. Thanks again. Bye.